Hey, what's up? So today, just gonna be kind of showing off or showcasing a deck that I've been kind of playing for fun. Not meant to be really competitive or anything like that. It's just kind of like a combo deck that you kind of play, and it's not supposed to really do well at locals or anything. But if you got the cards, it's not too expensive to make, I believe. And it just plays around with Blue Eyes White Dragon essentially. So it's a basically Blue Eyes Dragon Link deck meshed together sort of thing. Um, Combo extender chaos, I guess. There's a bunch of labels you can toss into this thing. But more or less, I use this deck to just play against my friends. I haven't really took it into any sort of actual tournament, so they have no real tournament results for this deck. But yeah, it's kind of like my deck I play for fun, namely because it's got blue eyes in it. It might be seems a little spiky, I guess, or a little competitive in terms of the card selection. But the reason why I say it's made for fun is because this deck loses really hard to interaction, hand traps, stuff like that. And I didn't really bother trying to play around that. I guess it loses to Nibiru, loses to an Ash. I mean, a lot of decks do, but this deck is specifically weak to that. But I made a deck to kind of hopefully go first and make a board that's gigantic, and yeah, hopefully your opponents can't deal with it. It also loses to, I guess, Dark Rule No More. So yeah, so this deck has some really glaring weaknesses, but it's fun when it goes off. And the idea of the deck is that if you go first, you set up a big board. Your opponent's not going to be able to answer it, not going to be able to play, and you win the game. You go second, you're just going to try to break their board. Hopefully, if they got one or two negations, you can probably play through that. If they have more than one or two negations, you're probably just dead in the water. Also, the issue with this deck, playing Blue Eyes, you're gonna brick, and there's no helping that. There's just some games you're just gonna sit there and be like, crap, I can't play this game. But yeah, I mean, it's Blue Eyes. It's never really meant to be super competitive. And the last time it was competitive was when it was at 2017 when Alternative came out, and that deck did well because every other deck kind of got shafted at Worlds. And so you just bring out a big beater and smack your opponent with it. I mean, it was a pretty simple, straightforward strategy. Nowadays, you got links and other stuff, and it's a little bit harder to do that. There's a lot more hand traps and stuff you got to deal with, and so the deck itself is not as powerful anymore. On top of that, the drag links in general took a couple of hits, especially to was it LP and the other one? I forgot the name of it. It's LP and whatever else, Pixie or forget the name. I'm really bad with names. So yeah, took a hit to that. Some cards got, I guess, errata, like the Darkness Red Eyes Darkness Dragon got errata, so definitely not as strong anymore. But yeah, the deck can still perform. And if your opponent doesn't play any interaction, then yeah, I'm pretty sure you can lock them down with like a bunch of big beaters and stuff like that. So yeah, let me go ahead and go through the deck. And kind of talk about it. And I'm not sure if I'll show off any combos in this deck. It's been a while since I actually played the deck, and it has been a while since I actually updated it too. But either case, here it is, and you can kind of see what it looks like here. So let's start off with just 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon. They're important for the combo because you use this card to cycle a lot, to draw out your deck, to thin out your deck, and gain card advantage off of it. Especially with Saruja. So some of you may already know the combo with Saruja, but I can kind of explain that a little bit later. But yeah, that's namely you use this with Egg to either generate a lot of advantage. Obviously, problem with playing this card is you'll brick. There's times where you'll draw 2 of these and you're just like crap. I'm down 2 cards. And yeah, but that's just the nature of playing with vanilla cards that are level 8 and pretty big. I got just one of each art. I think these are from the Kleiber or Legendary Collector Kaiba, I think. And one of each art, not too expensive or anything, but I thought it's kind of cool to have one of each. I didn't want to play with any of my collector blue eyes, I guess, and so I just bought the cheap ones and shove them in a deck and go with that. Next off, 2 alternative dragons here. You don't really need the 3, not anymore at least. Let me move this out of the way. They're searchable, they're recyclable. You only get one summon per turn. They're not your main strategy of the deck anymore. Back then, it used to be every turn you're going to try to summon an alternative, get value off of it, beat your opponent over with the attack, destroy a monster, attack over it. That was kind of the main strategy back then. Nowadays, it's kind of relegated to more of a an extender. So you only need one of these to go off, and oftentimes if you open with more than one of these in your hands, they're kind of a bricky card. And so yeah, just two is good enough. I don't think you need more than two. They're just kind of extenders anyways. Next off, you're gonna play 3 Sage of Blue. Real good card to summon first and search off of. Generates a little bit of card advantage. You rarely use the secondary effect, which is to pitch it to summon a Blue Eyes. That rarely happens. You namely summon this to search your stones, get your combo going, stuff like that. Reason why you want to play 3 is you just want to open up with it. It's going to be your main thing that you're going to be normal summoning anyways. It's the Stratos for the deck. It starts the combo off with Hauki Fibrax. So you kind of want to play 3. You can cut it down to 2 if you want, but I'd recommend 3. It's for its intended purposes. Next, the search targets for the Sage of Blue is going to be 2 and 2 here. 2 stones of ancients and just 2 regular legendary stones. Back then it used to be 3-1, but back then the strategy was to try to dump stone into the graveyard, get value off of it by summoning a Blue Eyes for free, or summoning a Spirit Dragon or something like that. Nowadays the strategy is the game is a little too fast for that. You're not going to really be having time to send this to the graveyard and wait a turn to summon a Blue Eyes and then do anything too crazy with the stone anymore. Namely, the stone is here to pop a Blue Eyes from the graveyard back to your hand to kind of shuffle it back into the deck and research it with the legendary stone here. This one right here is the most important stone. Some people even play 3 of this, to be honest, and you could. I just opt to just play the 2 because I'm searching them anyways, and so I didn't want more than 2. But this is the main engine of your deck. This used to be it, not anymore. It's shifted towards this, especially with the links, combos, and stuff like that. This is going to be your main way of generating advantage, and not with the Stone of Ancients anymore. Next off here, we're going to be playing sort of the rocket engine here too. So the rockets are here for extending, essentially. I'll show some of the spells and stuff, but basically you're going to be playing 3 rockets, an Absolute Router, and a Magnet Rocket. It doesn't really matter what combination of rockets you play. It's just whatever you want it to be. I'm kind of playing just the one-ofs down here. Didn't think I really need more than that. The main one is going to be Tracer. Everything else is kind of here to kind of fetch the Tracer, or to be played with the whatchamacallit, boot sector. So just different names for boot sectors and stuff like that. So just the one-ofs. Just they're extenders. You really need that much consistency with them. Oftentimes you don't really get to use the rockets effect in this deck because it kind of does lock you into just darks, and you do play quite a bit of lights to extend your combos and stuff like that. So most of the time you won't be using Tracer's effect, nor will you be using Magnet Rocket either. But they're just there for names. You'll absolutely be using Router Dragon for sure though. You'll sometimes summon him out for a body, or you dump him to the graveyard and then get your free search off of him and free value off of him. So that's kind of the main rocket monsters we play. Next we're playing a couple more extenders and stuff like that. So you're playing I'm playing one of each, and I think I don't really care to see this card as much. Some people will play if you're mainly playing rockets, like if your main engine is rockets, then you might want to play two to 3 of these instead. But my main engine is going to be the Blue Eyes, and so this kind of gets cloggy if you open up with too many of these. Plus you have a bunch of other normal summonable monsters. You don't really need this as much. This is to, okay, if you do open it up, great, you're gonna summon him, send him to the graveyard, search these and use these as as the combo enabler per se. Otherwise, if you don't see him, you're gonna you might sub him off of like whatchamacallit. Um, yeah, you might sub him off of Hirak Seal, and that's what he's here for. He's kind of to start your combo or to end it, but you don't really need him in the middle of it otherwise. His secondary effect is still pretty good, where you pitch a card to search a card, but um, that doesn't really come into play too often. You want to be sending him to the graveyard, and then getting one of these guys, one of the rockets or one of uh, the wyverns here out, and to start using them as extenders. His graveyard effect doesn't really come in play that often, but sometimes you'll bring back like a chaos dragon or something and to reuse. But most of the time, you're not gonna really be dumping him just to use his effect to fetch back anything from the graveyard too much. Next off, just the one of Red Eyes. You can opt to cut this card out completely. I still like him. I mean, he loses a lot of power being that he got Errata, and is it Elsie or Pepsi or what's his name? The other one got banned. It's slipping my mind right now, but the other one got banned, so not as strong anymore. He used to be like you summon him, get a rocket or whatever you need from your graveyard, and just kind of link away, then resummon him again, do the same thing again. But since it's a hard once per turn now, he's not that good. But I mean, if you see it, great. If you don't, it's whatever. It's not the worst card, not the best card. So one of is fine. And most people already played only one of him. And anyways, I think it was limited for a long time because of that. And so yeah, it's cool. You can play him or you don't. It's up to you there. Next, this is also kind of a personal choice here. Playing basically two Living Years and one Chaos Emperor. I do think this card should be played at one of. Definitely, it's a great extender. Somewhat helps you recover a little bit. Also, you rarely get to use its effect to send stuff to the graveyard, but it's kind of there as an emergency button. This is good. I definitely would play this if you could. I don't know if 2 is the correct ratio or not, but I do like 2 just to having one as backup or having it the second one as using as an extender. I'm not playing the Spiral package. I mean, you could be playing the Spiral package. I mean, they're pretty good. The Spiral Galaxy Dragons, yeah, the one that summons from hand, and that sort of stuff. I don't have them, and I mean, they're cheap to pick up. I just don't have them, so I'm not really playing them. But they would probably be pretty good extenders in this deck also, if you opt to go that way. You could pick those up and play them in the deck. Next off, your basic search spell here. You got the melody. You got the trade-ins. Not much to really explain here. They are weak to Ash and a few other cards, but I mean, they're also here to help you throw stuff in the graveyard, to also start off your combos and stuff. This deck is highly weak to graveyard removal and disruption, so just be careful of that. If you're playing into like a Macrocosmos or Dimension Shifter or something like that, just be careful. It hurts the grave. You really use your graveyard as a resource here, whether you know it or not. So just be careful of that. Triple Chaos Space. So here's, I guess, the point where you can kind of deviate. Also, since I'm playing the Chaos Space, I feel like I don't need as many Starfurt. Because some people, you can do 2/2 or you can do like 3/1 or whatever. I opt to play Chaos Space because I'd rather be special summoning rather than normal summoning the Stayfurt, rather than going that route. I'd rather pitch like a stone. Like I summon Sage, grab a stone, pitch it with the Chaos Space, and grab like a Chaos Dragon, or even grab one of the Collapsed Wyvern instead, rather than summoning this and then sending it to the graveyard to start off the combo. Or worst comes to worst, you could pitch it and grab this, or you can't really grab stay for off of chaos space, but you get what I mean, right? So yeah, I prefer just searching with the chaos space, and the chaos space is really good in this deck because you can recycle it, recycle some of your stuff from the banish zone, and that's pretty good. Works really well in this deck. It is a bit of a minusy card when you do start off with it, and it is a hard once per turn card too. But you do like to see this card when possible. It's one of your combo enablers, and I think it's kind of important for the deck to have it. You can play two, not the three, but I opt to play three rather than the two. So there's that. Next extender here. This should be quick launch, pretty self-explanatory. E-telly for the dragon rockets and stuff, and you kind of just use that to combo off and extend your plays more. Yeah, not much to say there. Here, more combo enablers and extenders for the high key fabric combos and stuff like that. You only need two. You don't. You can even play one if you wanted to. I think three gets a little cloggy, but I've seen some builds with three. It's a pretty good card. A sip of water here, and I don't know if you ever really use the secondary effect to shift the dragon around. Sometimes you do. Rarely comes into play, but it's kind of cool, neat function there if you need to shift your dragons around. But yeah, two, because you namely want to bring back the stones, either the legendary stone or the ancient stone. Bring those back. Bring back some of your smaller dragons, and just kind of extend your plays from there. Just a 1-for-1. Still a pretty good card. Another extender. You get to drop some monsters in your graveyard, bring a stone out. So kind of a one-card high fabric card here. So yeah, still pretty good. Monster Reborn, just another extender. Yeah, not much to say here. I opted not to play any of the Return of the Dragon Lords. I used to, and I still like the card, but it was a little cloggy if I didn't have stuff in my graveyard opening hand, and so I opted not to play that. And I think these three as graveyard recursion is good enough. On top of that, you also have the Chaos Levineer as kind of graveyard recursion, so I don't think you really need the Return of the Ancient Lord or Dragon Lords as much. But you could play it. Probably if you're gonna play that, you might want to play some like Foolish Burial or the Dragon Shrine or something like that to kind of build your graveyard up so that you aren't completely drawing dead cards turn 1 or turn 2, because those are your most important turns to be able to set up the board and play through it. And if you can't set up your board, you're probably gonna lose the game, because if you set up just summoning one Link monster, one Synchro monster, or just sitting on a Blue Eyes White Dragon, you're probably gonna be in a bad position. You're gonna end up losing the game. So yeah, there are you're playing a bunch of bricks already, so just kind of be careful there about playing too many more bricks, I guess. Last couple of cards here, kind of explain it to you. This is just to sack out your opponent, really, to stop the Ash Blossom, stuff like that. Really, I mean, it's Called by the Graves, not really much to explain here. Boot Sector is going to be searching that off with the Strike, whatever his name is. And then Ravine, you're going to also be searching this off with the Link monster. And I'll kind of show you off, explain my extra deck in just a second here. Move this to the side somewhere. The extra deck here. Yeah, I use these as dividers in my deck box, so they're kind of just sitting there. I use different field centers, and these are mainly just dividers. So you have the one of Blue Eye Spirit, still a pretty nice card. Sometimes you do bring him out, most of the time you don't, but he's there as an option. If you're not gonna go into Hellgate Firebrax with the Egg or the Mage and a alternative, you're gonna go into him instead. Still kind of a good card. With him, the only card you're gonna be bringing out with him in this particular deck, because the extra deck space is really tight, is probably gonna be the Azure Eyes. Yeah, that's the only card you're gonna be summoning. I used to play Moonlight Dragon and a few other targets, but I found that I've not have not been going into Spirit Dragon as much, and so I opted just to play the one target for Spirit Dragon uh, instead. And you used to go into Calamity a lot. You used to go into here into like Castle in the Sky, I think, if that's the card, and then go into the combo to go into King Calamity Dragon. But that's since that card's banned. This card hasn't seen that much play anymore, and so you can even opt to cut out the Spirit Dragon completely in this entire package here. But I still like playing them, and they do come up sometimes. You play Warlord Savage because you do combo a lot in the deck, and you do play level 4 dragons plus the extender, so it's kind of easy to go into him. Or you can also opt to go into the Chaos Dragon, the other dragon. Let me grab him real quick. This one right here. So you can also go into that if you want to. This does extend your plays a little bit, and kind of gives you a bit of a resource advantage. But I opt to go into Warlord Savage a lot more, namely to kind of protect myself from Nibiru, because this deck, like I said, you summon 20 monsters, like you summon a lot of monsters when this deck gets going, and so you need to kind of protect yourself from Nibiru, and so you would want to go into him if possible. Yeah, and yeah, it's not pretty easy to get into Warlord Savage and have like almost like 4 counters on him sometimes. Next, you're going to play the one Jaglubion. Would play more if you could, but actually the space is tight. And the targets for him, I have him as Numero Dragon 100 here. Numeron Dragon, just the OTK card. Not much to explain about it. And these over here, this is just a big beater. Probably better targets. I'm playing 2 Hope Harbingers. Namely because sometimes I can summon out 2 of them in the turn, one with Jaglubion and one just by overlaying. So I'm playing 2. You could opt to play Heart Earth Dragon. That's a pretty good card too. I don't have a copy of Heart Earth Dragon, so I'm just playing 2 Hope Harbinger. Heart Earth Dragon needs a reprint. I'm thinking he's gonna get a reprint soon in the Numbers collection, so I might pick one up to try out here. I forget why I'm playing this. Let me look here. Yeah, I think I'm just playing him just because he's can be used as material, or if you need to actually summon him and be a 4K beater. I mean, he's there. You can also play some of the other Galaxy Eyes cards that might be useful, but yeah, I just have him here, kind of a placeholder. Do play the Photon Lord here. Photon Lord, like I said, you might want to go into him as your 4th or 3rd summon or whatever to protect yourself from Nibiru, and he's like one of the only ways to do that. So you either go into him, or if possible, go into Warlord Savage to kind of protect yourself from Nibiru, getting Nibiru there. Because it would suck to have this really nice board and then just get Nibiru at the very end of it. So yeah, that's the only real way we're playing Disruption here. The deck is already 43 cards. I mean, you can probably cut out a couple of different cards and add cards here and there. I opted not to play any designators or anything like that. I only have Call by the Graves as a form of, I guess, protection. I don't have any triple tactic talents. You know, you could play that if you have it. I don't have those cards, and I haven't really bothered picking up because this deck is kind of a more for fun deck anyways, and so this is my only real form of protection against Nibiru. So yeah. And then we got the link cards, and they're pretty self-explanatory. Kind of explain some of the combos later, maybe. So you got Saruja, you got Romulus. Romulus fetches the Dragon Ravine, which you can use to kind of combo off to. The Hygge Fibrax. You got Striker Dragon, Pitsy, the only one that's left. The Guard Dragon. You have Heavenly Spears. So yeah, just the only links you really need to play. To kind of start your combo off. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of videos out there showing you how to do Dragon Link's combo, and I might show you one or few here that you can kind of open up with. But I'm a little rusty on this deck, so I don't quite remember all of the combos. So forgive me if I mess up on some of the combos there. that will probably be towards the end of the video. And your side deck. Side deck, I never really tested it. I have absolutely no idea if this is good or not, and honestly, it's kind of just thrown together because I haven't really actually took this deck out to play any locals or anything, so I really don't know if this is a good side deck or not. But essentially, the idea here is to go first, hopefully, and you're gonna hopefully win the die roll. If you don't, then it's gonna be an uphill fight. So hopefully you go first. You beat your opponent in game 1. Cool. You're gonna go game 2. Most likely your opponent's gonna start off. He's gonna probably side in a bunch of hate, a bunch of like disruption, and to kind of stop your combo. And so what you can do here is what I used to do is I used to play dangers in the main deck. That used to be my danger blue eyes, I guess. And so I used to play that, and that was pretty good. So what I opted to do here is to swap engines essentially. So the idea is to win the first game. Game 2, you're gonna swap some of your engine cards out. You might even want to swap out the rocket engine for the danger engine. So what we're gonna do here instead is we're gonna expect your opponent to side in hate cards, cards like maybe there can only be one, or stuff like that, or set a lot of back row, what have you, or build a board, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're probably gonna go first. Barely any decks in Yu-Gi-Oh nowadays wants to go second. So whatever they bring out, we're just gonna try to break their board with what we have here. So this side deck is designed to do that, and that's all it does. It's to go second and try to break your opponent's board. If they force you to go first, kind of try to work with what you have, I guess. If they decided to let you go first again, then crap, this sideboard is not that great, but it can still work because you can still use the Bigfoots and Danger Monster as extenders, so it's not the worst case scenario. But I'll show you off what I have in mind. Keep in mind I haven't really got to test this out yet, so it's kind of thrown together, and yeah. So what I have is just 2 Bigfoots, 2 Thunderbirds, and 1 Jackalope. I opted not to play the Nessie or the Suki, the snake, little snake, whatever, because the snake's not too great. I mean, he summons himself out, but you can't really do much with the snake anyways. Like, I mean, you can link with him, but some of the links in this deck require like dragons and stuff like that, so he's not the greatest thing to link into or to use as link material, so I opted to cut him out. Nessie's a level 7. He's kind of awkward. If you summon Nessie, you're kind of stuck with Nessie on the board. You're not going to be able to do anything with Nessie besides, once again, use him as a link material. He's level 7. He doesn't really go into anything. I mean, if you summon Nessie, I guess there's a chance for you to bring out a Savage Dragon, I guess. But I think that's it. I mean, all your tuners in this deck are level 1s, and so or level 4s, so if you get unlucky, you summon a Nessie, you're just gonna be sitting on him and not doing anything with his body. So I opted not to play him at all. So the Bigfoots and the Thunderbirds you can always summon out. You can always use them as bodies or just beaters even. I mean, 28 and 3,000 is no joke no joke, right? So yeah, you can bring them out. You can destroy face-up cards. You can discard cards using their effects to try to summon themselves or pop a card. In terms of that, we also got 3 Twin Twister because you want to discard stuff from your hand. So you got discard the dangers. You're gonna discard your stones, stuff like that, to try to break your opponent's board. So Twin Twisters are good for that. They kind of enable that. Another card that is going to help you break your opponent's board in back row, if they play a lot of back row, is just the Harpy's Feather Duster. Pretty self-explanatory here. You can opt to play Lightning Storms if you got those. I don't have Lightning Storms, and I don't plan on getting them anytime soon. So if you got Lightning Storms, Droplets, the expensive stuff, then by all means play it if you got it. Just a random kind of placeholder here. I just do in shared rides. I think Drown and Lock and some other hand traps might be better than this, but they're kind of placeholders. Same with the Red Reboot. There's a chance for you to OTK with this deck pretty high, so Red Reboot might help with that. I mean, you have a lot of back row hate already. Going second, you can try to OTK your opponent if you have the right hands. So Red Reboot might help contribute to that. Yeah, the cards are different sleeves right now because I'm using these cards actually in my other deck, so I'm too lazy to swap out the sleeve, but still 15 card extra deck here. In terms of that, trying to break your opponent's board, you're gonna be playing Dark Rule No More. Stuff you bring out in this deck is pretty big. I mean, your Blue Eyes deck, you're bringing out 3,000 beaters, 4,000, 4K attackers, stuff like that. So as long as you can negate their effects and play through their board, you can basically run over everything. You can even I used to side skill drain in this deck actually, and but because I'm playing more of a combo variant rather than a big beat state variant, I took out skill drain. But you can put skill drain and just play even like these in the main deck here, or swap out the engine and play these as the main deck and just use them as beaters, even beat your opponent down. Because a lot of stuff in the format are kind of small, and so you can just play activate skill drain. Granted, skill drain's not that great going second, so that's the reason why I'm not playing it right now. But yeah, if you got skill drain,